Michel Foucault is the most cited thinker according to Google Scholar. He wrote scathing critiques of powerful institutions, power dynamics, sexuality, identity, and more. His ideas remain relevant, and to this day he is both celebrated and criticized by people on both sides of the political spectrum. So you may be wondering, whose side was he on? Well, his politics were complex in life and often confused after his death from AIDS in 1984, especially after many of his lectures were posthumously published against his wishes. In The Last Man Takes LSD, Foucault and the End of Revolution, authors Mitchell Dean and Daniel Zamora set the record straight on Foucault's politics, especially his thoughts on neoliberalism. They recontextualize Foucault's ideas both in history and through the lens of his own philosophy. This book is not a Foucault 101. It's challenging at times, interesting, and educational. I learned quite a bit, not just about Foucault, but also French politics and the intellectual origins of neoliberalism, which is a term that gets thrown around a lot and even demonized by people on the left and the right. Yet few people bother to research what it means, where it comes from. This book helps explain why and how neoliberalism came to dominate Western politics. In his life, Foucault was an icon on the left, but as the book points out, he was also a contrarian one. He was extremely critical of the rising union of the left that came to power in France at the time. He even called their leader's socialist economic policy incompetent. Now, Foucault was famously critical of institutions, and though he could be called a radical thinker, in the wake of the mass protests in France of 1968, he became deeply suspicious of all-out revolution. In general, he believed the Marxist-Leninist ideology motivating many revolutions was a gateway to totalitarianism. This is one of the central themes of the book. Instead of violent revolution, Foucault believed in individual resistance through the cultivation of new lifestyles that would change the status quo by more gradual, peaceful means. In the words of the authors, revolution now meant to invent ourselves as works of art through immanent and decentralized practices. I really like that line. So Foucault sought a left governmentality distinct from the socialist police state in France, something that would foster individual freedom, entrepreneurship, and the flourishing of minority communities and alternative lifestyles. This, for him, was the central appeal of American neoliberalism, which he viewed as a framework for governing, even a whole way of being and thinking that transcended the left versus right, socialist versus capitalist tribes. In a nutshell, he saw it as more flexible, tolerant, less moralistic, and more accommodating to diverse groups. The book also covers some of his more radical ideas. He questions the need for attributing text to a single author. His existentialist ideas explore subjectivity, grounded in his study of Christianity and ancient Greco-Roman society. He also famously rejected labels, especially self-labeling, which he saw as tools of authority for controlling people. One of Foucault's ideas that I found most compelling are his thoughts on identity, that identity is not something to be discovered through introspection or confession, but actively created through experimentation with different lifestyles. He placed a special emphasis on the knowledge that can be gained through intense limit experiences and ordeals. In the final chapters, the authors call out Foucault's most glaring blind spots. He was strangely silent on inequality and failed to foresee many of the consequences of neoliberalism, how it neutered the left as they abandoned their traditional focus on exploitation. They make the case that Foucault's decentralized resistance through individual life choices played right into the rise of consumerism and the fall of collective action. Foucault also underestimated or just failed to anticipate the extent to which authoritarianism can co-opt the neoliberal framework as we are currently grappling with today. I found the author's contributions and conclusions to be nuanced, insightful, indeed essential to the current political discourse. In conclusion, I would definitely recommend this book to anyone who's interested in Foucault or politics or philosophy. However, I do wish the authors connected Foucault's ideas to present-day issues a little more consistently throughout the book. As someone with a 101 level philosophy knowledge who has not actually read Foucault's work before, I recognize that they probably did not write this book for me. It is a credit to the authors that I found it readable and I got so much out of it. But a little more consideration could have been given to the narrative structure and the thematic through lines. I think it would have helped those a little less familiar with Foucault understand why we should care about this guy and why his ideas matter now more than ever. They do get there eventually, but it takes a while. The authors cover a lot of ground, but in doing so, the book feels a bit dense and overextended. So I give this book a 3 out of 5, not for lack of substance, but style. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the book or this review in the comments. I'm B.D.Donovan, a first-time author who should be finishing my sci-fi dystopian novel right now. Please subscribe if you're interested in great books and cultural commentary. I have another video about Foucault in the works, so don't miss that. You can find links to my socials and Goodreads below. Thank you again, and as Foucault once said, don't forget to invent your life.